model building fans, and welcome to our first Revell News Show. Every month we are going to show you the highlights of our product portfolio now. And today I'm joined with Luke, who's here or here. And we are going to talk about five, in particular it's six kits that we are going to talk about. But first, I would like to say hi to Luke. How
Hi,
are
Alex.
you? And tell us a little bit about ourselves, a new face in the Revell community here.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I joined Revell back in April, so very new. I've been in the model building industry for a few years now. I'm based in the UK, so as you can tell, I'm not German, but I'm based out of the UK and visit the office in Bunda quite regularly every month. My background is in product design originally, and that's how I came to be within the sort of product management side of Revell. And so I've been interested in aviation since as far as I can remember, really. So being product manager for aircraft and space at Revell is somewhat of a dream job. You know, I don't think if I went into a careers office and said this is what I want to do when I'm older, uh, I think they might laugh me out of the building. So very glad to be here.
Yeah, great that you're here. So the first product we are going to talk about then fits perfectly, I guess. I am going to share my screen, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about it. Our Tornado Twinpack, because the Tornado is celebrating its 50th birthday.
Yeah, 50th birthday.
It's crazy. I am going to turn 50 in November, and I wasn't aware that this bird is like 3 months older than me. The first flight of the Tornado was on August 15th in 1974, and that's such an icon in the air.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost a shame that it's coming towards its sort of service life with both. It's come to the end in the UK in the RAF, but it's coming to the end for the Luftwaffe as well. It'd be a shame not to see them flying around. But it's amazing they've been serving for 50 years and they're still used on frontline service. And have been for quite a while.
Mm.
In fact, some news that reached me over the weekend or early in the week was that an American collector has bought one and is going to operate it in civil hands. So we'll be able to see a Tornado hopefully flying on the airshow circuit
That's
if you're in the US.
crazy. Ooh, that's great. I'm always like imagining, okay, how can you buy such an aircraft or a vehicle, military vehicle, and operate it like in private hands? It's totally cool and
I
crazy
think
at the same time.
the key, Alex, is having lots of money.
Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
And for everybody else like us, we can build those things. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
cool too. So let's take a look at the video, and maybe you can tell us little bits about some of the details. We are seeing the German Luftwaffe version here first. So here's the British one.
Yeah, it's keen to stress that in the Twinpack, as it suggests, you do get two models. The idea being that we wanted to celebrate its use by multiple nations, not just one. So it represents two of the main users,
Mm.
the RAF and the Luftwaffe, but obviously the Italians use it as well. We should mention them,
Yeah.
otherwise our Italian fans might get angry. But the RAF and Germans had them in service very early on, and these two schemes that you see on the screen are sort of the first squadron aircraft, or some of the first squadron aircraft. And it's also, showing off some of the features, as the video says, sort of extensive external loads. There are no new parts to this model, we should say, but the schemes have been updated.
Mm.
For my money, it's still the best 1/72nd Tornado that you can get on the mass market. So we thought it best to celebrate its use by the Germans and the British.
Yeah, and you can build them like with an open or closed cockpit, both of them.
Yeah, and
Um,
it comes with a cockpit stay or a sort of a bar that you quite often see holding the canopy up
Yeah,
which
in
is a
air
nice
shows,
little extra detail to include.
like yeah, you can see it on the right here. Those
Mhm.
bars that you can see on air shows as well when they're on display, right? Beautiful. Ah, they there we can see the cockpit.
Yeah, so obviously representing the early jets. So before this is where my aircraft fanatic side comes out. Before the upgrades that are associated with GR4s and GR4As. These are the very early jets. So they have all the sort of analog displays rather than digital that started to creep in towards the end of the service life, especially in British. And I think with the Asta 3.1 upgrade in German service. There you go, canopy support included, but also the ability to swing the wings, which is important to mention. It's one of the distinctive features of the Tornado is that you can pose the model with the wings in sort of either orientation. And yeah, in stock now, so go and buy it.
Yeah, and that's a great part of the job when you research those models that Panavia is still based in Germany. The company who like built the whole team and consortium that built the plane back in 1969. I guess they started building it.
Yeah, still operating, obviously to support tornado operations, I assume, so that there's a design authority.
So, from the air, we go to the sea, some 30, 40 years still back with a new tool, and that is this vessel.
Yeah, I mean the you have lost my critical insights into the real aircraft or the real vehicle now because I'm aircraft and space almost exclusive.
First, maybe you could answer me a language question, which I asked myself. When you say Type 9 C40, in German we would say Typ Römisch 9 C40. So how do
Mhm.
you say those Roman numbers in England? Would you say Type 9
Yeah,
C40 just, or would you mention the Roman
yeah,
numbers?
Type 9 C40.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you generally wouldn't mention it as Roman numerals. You just say Type 9.
Mm-hmm.
Where I can relate to that is obviously Spitfires and things like that.
Mm.
Uh, in the war were Roman numerals, but yeah, you just refer to them as the number that indicates.
Ah, okay.
Post-war, they became numbers for simplicity.
Yeah. What I found so fascinating about the submarines, especially of the Type 9, they built like 250 of those. For me, it's like,
Mhm. Yeah,
this, of course,
yeah,
they built lots and lots and lots of ships. Submarines, especially, are really, really fascinating. But seeing that 250 of the Type 9 and of this C40, they built like 87 units. That's a lot of steel.
yeah. It's staggering the numbers that were involved during the war. The other day, I was reading about the Liberty ships, which I
Hmm.
think is the most produced ship in the world, and there was over 2,000 that built.
Yeah,
And you sort of compare it to the submarine builds nowadays. I'm not sure how many the UK have, but it's not hundreds.
yeah,
Um, and so when you compare, it's pretty incredible.
yeah. Yeah, and this particular one, the U-190, was captured where in a capitulation of Germany in 1955 from the Canadian Navy. And
Mm.
after the war, it was used for several exercises with the Canadian Army. And then in 1947, they thought, okay, now we don't have any use for it anymore. We take it out to the position in the Atlantic where it sank the last ship it attacked. On this position, they started the last exercise where they fired on the submarine and sank it. But before that, so that they can hit it better, they painted it in like yellow and red stripes. I didn't found any
Okay.
photos of it, but it was immediately like that would be a cool diorama with the submarine in the middle and then the other boats around.
And I find them more interesting as submarines than maybe modern submarines because there's more going on the outside. Whereas nowadays, the submarine modelers might not like me for saying, they're more black tubes.
Yeah.
Whereas U-boats, there's points of interest that are visible on the outside.
Yeah, they're really slick and clean nowadays.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here what I really like is that this part is called a winter garden. Yeah, but I would love to see some cool dioramas of this particular thing.
Yeah, and with it being 144 is obviously a bit more manageable for people. 70-second submarines are very impressive, but obviously we only have a limited space in our houses,
Yes.
and we quite often don't put the cost of a new mortgage into buying a model kit. So size is important.
What's the most costly in model building? Buying the space to put the models. Yeah, so then we have another anniversary model. It's the 50 year of the Porsche 911 G. This is the convertible version. Those were built from 1971 to 1973. Was the G model coupe, and in 1974 came the convertible, or cabrio as we say in German. Also really beautiful. And the special thing that came with this were the bumpers. Yeah, the big bumpers
Mm.
that needed to be built for the US market. And I can totally remember as a little kid sitting in like almost exactly this convertible model, also with the red leather inside, and still fascinating cars for me. And those were the first that got the 2.7-liter boxer engine. Can immediately smell the smell of this boxer engine, and of course hear the sound of it. Ah, yeah, and here we have all the stuff you need to start with the model, like the most important colors, the base colors, the glue and brushes are also included here in all those anniversary sets. Yeah, and then before we started talking, you said episode one is as old as you.
Yeah, I hate to age the fans maybe, but yeah, I'm as old as the Phantom Menace. Uh,
So, so which
yeah,
Star Wars movies or which Star Wars storyline did you grow up with?
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6 you grew
So
up with, okay?
yeah, the originals. My dad made sure that we watched the originals first,
Yeah.
then the prequels, not not the sort of sequential way. Yeah, so I grew up with the originals, and I'd argue they're better, but I think the prequels have recently come under a bit of re-evaluation, and people are starting to like them. I think when they first saw them, there was a lot of criticism, but yeah, people have got their rose tinted glasses on maybe, and now really like the Phantom Menace. I think people say it's probably the best of the three prequels.
The fun thing is to watch my daughter. She's 9 now, and we started with Star Wars, like the number 4. Then we jumped back and watched Phantom Menace and
Okay.
Episode 2. And then she wanted to watch the Clone Wars first.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
she's completely spoiled because they have a big book in school. They have a book in school about
Mhm.
Star Wars, and she knows the whole story up front, so she couldn't be spoiled anymore in the story. And then she said, "No, I want to watch Clone Wars first." Observing her now, the most important person for her are Anakin and Ahsoka. For us, it's like, okay, Luke and Han Solo and Chewie and Darth Vader is the bad guy, and for her, it's more like, I know that Anakin is going to be the bad guy Darth Vader, but I know Anakin
Mhm.
as the good guy, and she has a completely
Yeah.
different perspective on the whole story. It's so interesting to see. I,
Yeah, I suppose that must happen more and more now because there's so much Star Wars content. So Andor, Rogue One, all the spin-offs. So for anyone starting Star Wars, their start points might all be different. Whereas for people of your generation, and in my case, you start with the originals, then the prequels, and then as the spin-offs come out, you maybe watch them. But yeah, it's strange to see people doing it in a different order.
Now, I hope she doesn't turn to the dark side like Darth Maul, but here we see Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator, or Scimitar, as it was also known for. In reality, in air quotes, it would be 26.5 meters long, and it was based on an experimental ship, a Star Courier, and after Darth Maul was killed, or maybe he wasn't, we don't know. Don't want to spoil anything. Darth Sidious.
It's been 25 years, Alex. I think you
Yeah,
can spoil things.
yeah, I think I can spoil one thing or another. Darth Sidious, Palpatine kept it for himself after the Battle of Naboo. So it's quite a special ship in the Empire.
Yeah, and what's fascinating with from a model builder's perspective, I know with a lot of the original films, models were used to create what you see on the screen for these ships. So I think some of the ships have the turrets from actual World War II fighters and things like that, and they assemble plastic models to create these sci-fi looking things. So there's relevance with my side of the Revell sort of stable as well.
Yeah, they were kit bashers from hell, like
Yeah.
putting together everything. And on this episode, Adam Savage worked as a model builder also. So I love
Okay.
watching some of those one day builds that Adam Savage does in his man cave. One time he just took random pieces from his workshop and just started building a spaceship from scratch. That's so fascinating, so interesting to see when people like him start building details that might remember you of. That's a cool perspective. That might remember you of World War II vehicles, and then we can go to the lighter side of things, which would be Anakin's Podracer.
Yeah, I think most people's favorite part of the Phantom Menace is the pod racing.
The first thing that comes to my mind is the sound of those
Yeah,
engines. Do you know what's the story behind the pod racers?
no, I don't.
I
Well, if I've been told, I've forgotten.
no, I did a little bit of research about that because I was really interested in. I mean, the story or in the storyline, it's like a sport that evolved from primitive races held with animal drawn cards. That's in the story, and those were then came Hanno speeders, which were the predecessors of land speeders. But then came a guy who attached this cockpits, gondolas to the jet engines. But the interesting story behind it, or the interpretation, was some people say like George Lucas resembled the chariots from the Roman Empire in Ben-Hur, wanted to show that the Roman Empire and the Republic were on the downfall. So he tried to
Okay,
draw a
great.
parallel between the Roman Empire and the Republic in the galaxy. And there was another interesting theory about the yellow. Some people say that the yellow should resemble like the youthfulness of Anakin, because later in a later scene here we see Anakin in the cockpit, and in a scene later in episode 2, there's an older Anakin flying this Naboo ship that we also have as a product, of course, and he's yelling like, "Now this is pod racing!" And he goes around a space station. And everything he learned in pod racing, he uses then in episode 2. And the ship is also yellow, where some people speculated that it should resemble that he never really matured.
Well, I
Sound really
suppose I
interesting.
shouldn't be surprised, but people have really gone into in depth analysing the meaning of
It's
the colours there. That's
it's crazy. It's a
pretty
rabbit
impressive.
hole. When you start going down, then it's endless.
Yeah.
But this is such a beautiful model. It's a pain to film it, but it looks cool when you have it on your desk, because the display stand, it's really, and because of the balance, it starts shaking really fast.
Yeah.
If you hit the table a bit, the whole thing is moving. That looks really, really cool when you have it in reality on the table. It's kind of annoying when you have to film it.
Yeah,
I
I
have
can
to say.
imagine.
So then we have the last product today, which is in your category again.
Yeah.
It's the AdForce One. So it's like two. It's the product and a band from your country that Iron Maiden is
Yeah.
attached to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my dad again. He's responsible for a lot of my interests, but he grew me up on Iron Maiden, which my mum didn't like at all. But yeah, showing me some of the album covers and listening to some of the more famous tracks, I think goes hand in hand with aviation as well, because Bruce Dickinson is obviously famous for flying Ed Force One and also operating other airshow displays. I think he was part of the Great War display team here in the UK, flying replica biplanes. So even if we didn't know Iron Maiden, we probably know Bruce Dickinson. Um, and yeah, as tall planes go, it's pretty impressive. I've not seen Taylor Swift have uh, a branded jet yet, but yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with Iron Maiden and their imagery.
Yeah, they had that. I guess that in total three planes, like 757s before
Yes.
this one, two 757s, but this one they altered so that the whole crew can join and they could take on, I guess, 10 tons of stage equipment also in the jumbo jet. They flew it almost 90,000 kilometers on the 2016 tour, which was almost 1.5 year long. And Bruce Dickinson was also he was a commercial pilot back then. He was an employee of an airline, and he had to take vacation, go on vacation for the tour. Was really funny when I heard that. And then I think last year he resigned as a commercial pilot because he turned 65, and at 65, commercial pilots have to resign. Speaking of resigning, greetings to our also resigned colleague Volker Fahle, who and Iron Maiden and Bruce Dickinson in 2016 at the press conference where Air Force One was shown to the public, and he walked through the whole plane and talked to Bruce Dickinson back. Really, really authentic what you see on the plane here.
Yeah, quite jealous of Volker getting to visit
Yeah,
not only a 747, which are becoming rarer nowadays, but also Bruce Dickinson and Ed Force One specifically. I believe the aircraft was chartered from an airline. It might be an Icelandic airline, I believe. I might be incorrect there.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. It looks really, really cool. When it came out back then, it was sold out really, really quickly. So if you want to have one, be quick.
Yeah, it's crazy how well rock and metal bands sell aircraft as well. I think there's definitely a mutual interest there,
Yeah,
where the two cross over.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, my favorite joke about this is they should have taken an Airbus because then they could say, okay, this is our tour bus which flies. Yeah, so that was it. That was our first Revell News show. You can tell us if it was as much fun watching us as for us to make the episode. And please like, subscribe, and do what people do on YouTube. And of course, you can leave us a comment what you would like to see next, or where we should go into more detail next month. And then we hope to see you in August.
Thank you.
Was great to have you here, Luke. Until next month.
Cheers, Alex.
Yeah, cheers. Bye bye.